Hello. Hi, guys. We'll go start in about a minute. Just want to get to. You can't read the writing, but that's just for the classroom here's sake. It's part of tonight's talk. Good evening, Michael. Welcome to our humble abode. 2 more minutes, we'll go on. Welcome to our humble abode. Remember Rebecca?
Hello.
Michael, Rebecca.
Hi, Michael. Nice to see you again. It is a while ago. Yeah, long time, everybody.
Karen. Hello.
No, I'll sit here because I'll feel better.
What?
That's exactly what I usually say.
Yes, Michael.
It's nice that it's only an hour now. I actually appreciate it not going till 8:30. Or doesn't.
Well, the subways are nastier now than they've ever been, it seems. Up.
I just find on a weeknight getting home at 9 is perfect.
Should get home earlier than that. An hour, it takes an hour. Oh, yeah, but the other train's right here.
It's only like 30 minutes of the train, but sometimes the train doesn't come or something.
Tell me about it. When I'm trying to make the Jersey train. All right, come on. What?
You take the train in or
I take the train in. No, but driving, you never know. It could take 40 minutes. It could take an hour and 40 minutes. Plus, where are you going to put the car? A lot of the restaurant kiosks have taken up parking spots. So I might start again. We need Carol and her motorcycle to bring me in. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States. This is the Tibet Center, Kunchap Tarduling. It's a little brisk, so I have a vest on. This is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically the Lamrim Chenmo and associated topics, which means everything on the whole path. Any problems with the sound or the picture, please text me or Mr. Smith right away. All the prayers we say will be on the Tibet Center website. In the FAQ section, scroll down to prayers. If there's someone who has passed away recently you wish us to pray for, place their names in the chat box before the end of class, because there is a minute delay on the chat box. So we'll start, I'll give you the menu when we finish the prayers. We'll start with the prayer for the spreading of the teaching throughout the length and breadth of the West. And I have to remind you also that the Tibet Center is under the direction of His Eminence Chab Ling Rinpoche and under the co-direction of Rato Kensor, the ex-abbot of Rato Monastery, Thupten Lunda, Venerable Thupten Lunda, also known as Nikki Vreeland, Venerable Nikki Vreeland, Geshe. So we've got all the titles. And he shall be returning. He's coming in tomorrow night late, so next week he will take over these classes. Thankfully, I get a rest. I can watch reruns of Captain Kangaroo, and I feel much better. Educate myself. Prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West, for all the people living there together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them. May all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source, benefit, and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may they spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this. seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayat Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Bodhisoha. Well, Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should learn profound, transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva, mahasattva, Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. And now refuge and bodhisattva vow, which of course we say 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Miseries of the world indeed. Is there any other world? So tonight, the menu. We'll start off with how to recognize, what's the wording is very good. A short bit of the Mahamudra from Saraha's Song for a King. How an expert differs from a dunce. Then we'll do a little bit of the Lamrim from the Searching for the Self, the collaboration of His Holiness Dalai Lama and Thupten Chodron, the middle way view and settling the object of negation on the view of selflessness. And then we have, ladies and gentlemen, a special treat, a Commentary from long ago, 1979, delivered in Switzerland by His Holiness Dalai Lama, translated by Alan Wallace. Very good. With help of Sepak Wisdom. This is an old library book called the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, 4 Essential Buddhist Commentaries. And this is His Holiness commentating on the 7 Dalai Lama's Song of 4 Mindfulnesses. It's a poem with the 4 or 5 verses, and then His Holiness explains the poem. The 7th Dalai Lama called it Dropping the Rain of Siddhi, Siddhi. Very interesting. A lot of Tantra in it. Oh, I did outline of it. A good transition, a bridge from Lamrim to Tantra. It's all here for your listening pleasure. Yes. First of all, you know how to tell an expert from a dunce. Well, if they're involved in politics, no, never mind. This is from Song for a King, Saraha and Mahamudra Meditation, with the commentary by the late Khenchen Trungul Rinpoche, Kagyu Lama. Kagyu's hold the Mahamudra lineage somewhat. Here at the Tibet Center, we're somewhat of a yellow hat sect, but we're ecumenical. We give you a variety of all the Buddhist schools so you can make up your mind what's best for you. This is from page 61. Translation is by Michel Martin. Verse 14. Here's the verse from Saraha. Just as the nectar dwelling within a flower is known by the bumblebee, the fortunate toss away neither existence nor nirvana. Like them, the ignorant should fully understand. What? How did he go from the bumblebee? We will explain. So I'll read it again, the 4 lines. Just as the nectar dwelling within a flower is known by the bumblebee, he's the expert, I guess, the fortunate toss away neither existence nor nirvana. Like them, the ignorant should fully understand. So the commentary is to unravel these cryptic things. That was the style in those days. We're talking 1000s and earlier. Actually, earlier than that, I guess. He was Nagarjuna's teacher, Saraha, so it goes back. Anyway, Khenchen Trungul Rinpoche says, this verse is concerned with the fact that even though all beings, without exception, possess the same nature of mind, the mere possession of this Buddha nature is not enough. We all have Buddha nature, but just having it is not enough. It must be thought about and meditated upon. And we could also realize we have Buddha nature, but so far, at least in my case, it didn't take us far. So Saraha illustrates this with an analogy of the fortunate and the ignorant, or a wise person and a foolish person. In contrast to verse 8, the expert here, the fortunate one, represents the positive side, and the foolish person, the negative one. The analogy is the following. In a lake, there is a lotus flower, and in the midst of that lotus flower, there is nectar, the potential for honey. A bee, representing the wise person, recognizes the presence of the nectar within the lotus flower and drinks its nectar. In that same way, knowing about the presence of mind's nature, a learned person meditates on it and realizes it. On the other hand, the foolish person is like a frog. A frog lives in the lake adjacent to the lotus flower, but doesn't know about the nectar within the flower, and therefore does not enjoy its delicious taste. The frog illustrates that while all beings have the same nature of mind, when they do not know about it, they do not meditate on it, and therefore don't realize it. They're pointing at us now, and we're the dunces. The last 4 verses have explained why the proper practice of the path will lead to realization. In the next 4 verses, we are going to look at what should be abandoned and what should be realized through combining congruent and incongruent analogies. So we will continue that from time to time in class. These are nice little quick hors d'oeuvres that you can have before you settle in for the heavy lifting, which we now will bring you. This is continuing the object of navigation, that part of the Lamrim, 16, 17, 18, it goes up, I think. Very hard, very difficult, but it's the core of the Buddhist philosophy, and the realization of which will get you out of samsara forever, literally. So it's worth the investment of your time and effort. This page number, page 197 of this wonderful book, volume 7 of The Library of Wisdom and Compassion is called Searching for the Self. It's a very nice tanka. A nice cover, right? You like? It can be yours. Look now. A skillful teacher, the Buddha, taught people according to their varying aptitudes and dispositions in order to lead them to the correct realization of the ultimate nature. These teachings evolved to become the philosophical tenet schools in ancient India. This chapter goes into it. We won't go into it too much because it really gets a little thick. The further volumes go even deeper into that. When we're ready, we'll go through those. These teachings evolved to become the philosophical tenet schools in ancient India. Some key points the proponents of these systems discuss were the object of negation and the view of selflessness. We don't have that in our philosophy yet, do we? We will begin this chapter with a review and overview of the positions of the various Buddhist philosophical schools on these and other topics, and then show the Madhyamaka's view, and within that, the Prasangika's unique assertions of the middle way. Madhyamaka schools subdivide into Svatantrika and Prasangika, and we represent Prasangikas, or at least we do on paper. In our minds, who knows? For some readers, understanding the meaning of so many terms may initially be daunting. This is true. But as a young science student gradually becomes familiar with scientific terms until they seem very natural to him or her, so too will you become familiar with these philosophical terms. The jargon is a lot. It's a little thick when you get started. You have to see the word, hear it, and then, oh yeah, I know what that means. I know. In the beginning, you don't. When you go right to the dictionary, you go here, or you have to think it through to get the full meaning, but you have to give it time. Settling the object of negation is the heading of the next section. Meditation on emptiness involves ensuring that the apprehended object is a non-affirming negative, that is the negation of inherent existence. Already we're lost, right? Not a big thing. The object you apprehend is a non-affirming negative. In other words, that means none of this, and it doesn't imply anything else. Like the old example, that fat slob Devadatta doesn't eat during the day, so it implies eats at night, because otherwise, why would it be fat? Same thing. So a non-affirming negative, no and nothing added. Emptiness, no inherent existence, and nothing in its place. That's it, no inherent existence. So, the lower Buddhist tenet systems meditate on the selflessness, that is the refutation of a self-sufficient, substantially existent person. Remember we talked about this a couple of weeks ago and banged it around a lot. A coarser view, self-sufficient, substantially existent, something sturdy and by itself. Self-sufficient means not relating to anything, really. Can't possibly be, but if you don't think about it, you let it go. Although nothing else may be affirmed after negating a self-sufficient, substantially existent person, true. That doesn't imply anything else. That is not the deepest object of negation. It is like a person who wants to have a clean floor thinking, oh, that it's clean now. There's not, while neglecting to see the dirt that's actually there. You're allowing it, and you didn't look thoroughly. Among the various philosophical systems, different assertions exist regarding the observed and the conceived objects of self-grasping of persons. We observe something, but we think it's something else. Observed and conceived. Observed and conceived. Get used to that, because we're walking around observing something and conceiving it differently. We're walking around seeing things that are really not inherently existent, but we conceive them as such. No good. As if they were. I shouldn't use as such. That's a tricky. As if they were inherently existent. The observed object, the conventional I, I'm going to school, I'm late, all this, is the basis on which self-grasping of persons superimposes a false way of existence and therefore misapprehends the I. Remember last week we talked about the soft I. I'm eating, I'm drinking. That's not inherently existing, grabbing the I. No, it's just convenient reference point. If you left it at that, you're being no problem at all. But we don't. It misapprehends the other. The conceived object is a false person that self-grasping apprehends instead. We grasp it as inherently existent, sometimes called self-grasping, grasping at a self that's there, not connected to anything, forgetting, couldn't even speak without connection to other people. Hello? Your mom taught you how to talk, things like that, or your father, I don't know. So that's the problem. We're lazy, we're sloppy. We make this assumption, and it appears that way as things come into our senses because we're so used to it. It causes trouble. That's why we have to get rid of it. It is ingrained from beginningless time, they say, and it's not going to go away in 10 minutes by hearing a few words. So the tenet systems will have different definitions of the self-grasping of person and the self-grasping of phenomena, as well as what constitutes obscurations to be abandoned and to attain liberation and awakening. Different schools have different definitions, even though they're using the same word, and different qualifications to declare you're out of samsara. You're out of samsara if you do this. Not really. The higher schools say, no, you need this. You have to refine this. So why do they bother? Because the Buddha presented things according to people's levels. If he gave them the highest teaching, they wouldn't understand it and they wouldn't proceed. So he's teaching remedial or basic topics first, as we do in our education system. You teach basic arithmetic before you get into the higher mathematics, etc. and so forth. That makes sense. Vaibhashikas, he calls them Samitya Vaibhashikas. I never heard of that. The first school, the lowest ring on the Buddhist school, had a Pratimoksha vehicle school. We don't use Hinayana is degrading, so we don't use that. The Pratimoksha vehicle, individual liberation vehicle. They say the observed object, the self-grasping of person, all five aggregates. Yeah, we look at the five aggregates, psychophysical components of ourselves, our feelings, our body, our this or that, and that's the object of self-grasping. We grasp that. Yogacaran's, the mind-only school, state is the foundation consciousness. Foundation consciousness, alaya, as used in this school. Alaya means something else in the Nyingma and the Kagyu school. But forget about that now. Put on the side. Storehouse of consciousness. Everything we did all the time is stored in this place. The Kunji or the Alaya Vijnana. It's all there, like a storehouse of consciousness. The tape is there. You can go look it up. So they have that attitude. And the mind-only school, of course, thinks everything is of the nature of mind. We just project everything. There's nothing really out there for real. We just got used to that, a wrong way of thinking. So tantrikas think that way. Just tantrika madhyamikas, the one right under the prasanga, say it's the mental consciousness. That's the person, the mental consciousness. One of the five skandhas. It's very thick now, I know. We'll go a little bit more, then we'll get into the juicy stuff. Prasangikas, it's the mere I. We saw it, mere, we designated. That's it. That's frightening to some people. The mere I, that just casual reference, that's okay, that's all that's there. Why do you need any more? Do we need any more? Yeah, well, I'm me, I'm this and that. That's where all the trouble starts. Think about it. So we're carrying a load we don't have to carry. It's the mere, the I that exists by being merely designated. Hello, I'm this. She's Leon. He's Michael, whatever. So most systems say the conceived object of view of a personal identity and of the innate self-grasping of persons is a self-sufficient, substantially existent self. We all think that way. We think I'm here and I don't need anybody else until we ask a question. Prasanga has explained that's the coarse object. You got to go deeper than that, guys. Whereas an inherently existent self is the actual conceived object to be negated. Inherently existent is a thicker way of existing by itself. If there were inherent existence, there will be no cause and effect. There will be no reaction, this or that. Nothing. Couldn't possibly be. But instinctively, we think everything is that way. There's the horse, there's the house, there's the train, there's this and this. How are these things dependent on a designated consciousness? There's always that dependency. If you didn't see it, how do you know it's there? So anything we know dependent on us observing, understanding, etc., and so forth. We'll leave it at that. Let me see the time. Okay, another 2 more minutes of this. We want to go to this. I'll give you a little background. No, I'll skip. He's going to go through all the schools. Vaibhashikas and Sotantra, the two Pratimoksha schools, don't speak of a self-grasping of phenomena. And Yogacarans present 4 approaches leading to self-grasping of phenomena. Yogacara is the mind-only school, and they say you grasp the subject and object to be of a perception to be different substantial entities when they're not. Everything is the subject, the mind. There's no outside world. The mind is projecting that. Oh. They say grasping phenomena to exist by their own characteristics as a reference of names and terms. In other words, this is called a chair because it was always a chair. That's it. No, we designated it such. Yes, good evening. Table for two? Yes. You want to buy the salad bar? Of course.
Cookie bar.
The what?
The cookie bar.
Cookie bar, yes. All right. We got to do business here. It's tough. They grasping external objects. There's no external objects. That's a wrong move, according to the mind-only school. Right? And grasping phenomena to exist by their own characters as the basis adhered to by thoughts. That's really sticking it, you know. They accordingly assert four formulations of selflessness of phenomena. The absence of duality of subject and object. That's all they are talking about. Absence of duality. Of course, in the meditative equipoise on emptiness, there is no duality of subject and object. There's no appearance of either. Hello? So you can see where they're getting close. See? The absence of phenomena existing by their own characters, a reference of names and terms. No. They're there. They were called a chair because it is a chair. It's just a language thing. We could all agree to call a chair something else. And if everybody agrees, then that's what it is. The absence of external existence. There is external existence, I'm sorry. But to the mind-only school, no. The absence of phenomena existing by their own characters is the basis adhered to by thoughts. So we went through that before. Hey, Yalma. So we'll leave this at that because we don't want to go into Svatantrika's position and that. It's a little heavy, especially when we have in the wings, ladies and gentlemen, a genius poem by the seventh Dalai Lama, which takes in Sutra and Tantra at once. A very good introduction to Tantra, a very good capping of the Sutra ideas on emptiness. Dropping the Reign of City, poem by the seventh Dalai Lama. This particular poem was translated by Sepak Rigzen. He used to translate for Lati Rinpoche. We met him years ago. He came to the center. So we'll recite the poem, and then we'll go to the commentary by His Holiness that he delivered in 79 in Switzerland, translated by Alan Wallace, and he'll go verse by verse. So you just listen to this as a poem. You're being treated to a little piece of music or something. Oh, what a piece of music. On the immutable cushion of the union of the method and wisdom sits the kind Guru, the embodiment of all refuges. A Buddha with complete abandonment and realization is there. Sanjay, abandoned and realized. Okay? Through abandoning the wrong conceptions, pray to him with pure perception. Without letting your mind wander, place it within faith and respect. Without being unmindful, hold it within faith and respect. So that's why it's sometimes called Song of the, well, we'll leave it alone. He says dripping rivers. Song of the Four Mindfulnesses, it's called, but not the usual mindfulness, body, feelings, etc. This is a different slant. Next verse. In the prison of sufferings, of the endless cyclic existence, wander the beings of six types, bereft of happiness. The parents who have nurtured us with kindness are there. Through abandoning attachment and aversion, meditate on love and compassion. Without letting your mind wander, place it within compassion. Without being unmindfulness, hold it within compassion. Without being unmindful, not unmindful, hold it within compassion. In the divine mansion of great bliss, pleasant to feel, abides the divine body. Yours, mine. Mm-hmm. The body of oneself, with pure aggregates and elements, a meditational deity inseparable with the three bodies is there. Without conceiving it as ordinary, cultivate divine pride and vivid appearance. Without letting your mind wander, place it within the profound and the clear. Without being unmindfulness, hold it within the profound and clear. Throughout the sphere of appearing and existing phenomena pervades the space of clear light, of suchness and ultimate, an inexpressible real mode of existence is there. Abandoning conceptual elaborations, look into the nature of emptiness. Without letting your mind wander, place it within the suchness. Without being unmindful, hold it within the suchness. At the junction of multifarious appearances of the six consciousnesses, eye, taste, touch, you know that? Of the six consciousnesses, the confusion of the baseless phenomena of dual appearance is seen. Confusion of baseless phenomena of dual appearance. A feat of deceiving magic is there. Without conceiving it as true, look into the nature of emptiness. Without letting your mind wander, place it within the appearance and emptiness. Without being unmindful, hold it within the appearance and emptiness. This is the unique instruction which was directly given by the holy Manjushri to Sankapa, a king of Dharma. This spiritual song on upholding the four mindfulness, incorporated with an instruction for meditation on the view of emptiness, was composed by the Buddhist monk Losang Kesang Gyatso, the seventh Dalai Lama, in order to implant the predispositions of correct view within oneself and others. So consider yourselves as having been exposed to the predispositions of the correct view. Now His Holiness's commentary, done in Switzerland in 1979, I don't know what date, etc., translated by Alan Wallace, edited by John Blofield and Sepak Rizin, again, I can't pronounce. So now we're talking about here for mindfulness of the view of emptiness, compassion as the root of awakening, your body as a divine body, and the spiritual guide. Your body is a divine body. In other words, the flourishing of the Buddha nature, which we talked about in the little hors d'oeuvre that we had at the beginning of this meal. I mean, not meal, in a way. So, I'm very pleased that so many of us are here. His Holiness says, many guests able to come to this Christian church in order to hear some Buddhist teachings. I thank you for coming, for giving me this opportunity. Well, you're welcome. So, this now relates to today's situation. The world is in 79. My God, I can't believe it. The world situation is such that from each of the various countries come certain types of material products and different types of knowledge that are conveniently interchanged so that they become our common possessions. I feel there is much good in this situation. A few minutes ago, while I was upstairs with the Christian fathers, we agreed that it was very good to have such contacts among the adherents of the various religions so as to encourage mutual study and mutual interchange among followers of different faiths. When in 1973 I met the Pope, there had been a similar discussion concerning the means to bring about such exchanges among the different religions. In ancient times, not only different continents, but even different villages were so isolated that it almost seemed as if they existed independently of one another, whereas now, in the 20th century, due to improved communications, it seems that the countries of the world have drawn very close together. Well, thus affording excellent occasions for a close interchange in terms of religion and knowledge. We have it. We're talking to each other, but screaming across the fence, I don't know. Once again, I feel this situation is a very good one, since it almost obliges people to come in close contact with those of other cultures and religions. If one maintains a narrow-minded approach or stubborn attitude, there is danger that such interchanges may simply lead to conflict or confrontations. Whereas, if we have an open-minded attitude, then these interchanges will have beneficial results and lead various religions to adopt common aims. All of them already have one fundamental common aim, namely, all of them are trying to bring about harmony, brotherhood, and peace among mankind. At least on paper. All the religions say that. So maybe as Buddhists, we have to be mediators. I don't know. We'll try. This afternoon, I intend to speak about the songs of the four mindfulnesses. What are these four kinds of mindfulnesses? The first is the mindfulness of the view of emptiness. The second is mindfulness of compassion as the root of the awakening of the bodhicitta mind. The third is mindfulness of your body as a divine body and is related to the practice of Tantra. The fourth is mindfulness of the spiritual friend or spiritual guide. Now, the guru lineage or the oral lineage of this text comes from Jay Sankapa, from Manjushri to Jay Sankapa, face to face, that kind of vision. This text was versified by the seventh Dalai Lama. His name was Losang Kesang Gyatso. I shall forgo this opportunity to explain the various divisions or classifications of Buddhism. Oh, yeah. Hinayana, Mahayana, Sutra, and Tantra. I know that some of you already have some knowledge of this and believe that the others, by means of gradual study, will come to understand it. Therefore, I will not speak on this point now. Specifically, what is to be transformed in this impure body, speech, and mind that we have, this samsaric body, speech, and mind, so that they become a pure body, speech, and mind. They become this divine body. So what do we have to do? Holiness continues. This is not a chemical transformational process. Rather, it involves cessation of the causes of everything unwholesome or bad. Again, always reference to an ongoing, moving situation. Nothing frozen. That's not the Buddha's view. Everything kinetic, if you want to use that word. Winking on and off, everything. So always have that framework. It could take a lot of anger out of your life. Really. At least I found a little bit. You know me, you know who I am. So now, in order to bring about the cessation or exhaustion of the causes of unwholesomeness and to cultivate the causes of what is whole, we have to deal with the mind. If the mind is undisciplined or untrained, it will act as a cause of what is unwholesome. When the mind is disciplined and trained, of course, then it becomes the cause of that which is wholesome. You figured that out, didn't you? This great distinction between having a disciplined or subdued mind and not having one is the only thing that's important. Hold on to that. That's the only thing that's important. Everything else is completely irrelevant. For indeed, everything outside the mind is non-existent. That's right. Where's all your unhappiness in your mind? Where's your joy in your mind? It's not on the new backsplash you built for your house or this. No. Some item you bought? No. We have to get used to that. Our habits go elsewhere. Okay? So, although there are different philosophical assertions concerning this point, the philosophical system, in accordance with the one I am now speaking of, does not assert that all phenomena share the nature of mind. No, this is not the Yogacara thing where the chair is the nature of your mind and all this, and this room is the nature of everyone's mind, and we're going off with certain karmas that in sync, so that's why we all see the same things at the same. No, not of the nature of mind, the outside. So he's speaking from Prasangika viewpoint, in which all Tibetan schools hold at the end. Sakya, Nyingma, Kagyu, and Yellow Hat. Does not assert that all phenomena are mind, but rather asserts that they possess a different nature from that of mind. The nature of the mind is not the nature of the table, etc., and so forth. The wholesome and unwholesome, good and bad phenomena arise and pass away in response to certain contributing or cooperating conditions. Everything we see, we created by our past actions. We dealt the hand we're playing. We always say that here. We created this world that we live in cooperatively. All this was caused by what? Previous actions of what? People who have the collective karma to experience it now. So let's solid world right there. Now look what's happening. Who wanted? You have to think around that now. Think differently. Takes the edge off things. It helps after you become familiar with it, not instantly. Come on, So, in accordance with the Buddha Dharma, the fundamental conditions which determine whether these qualities arose or did not arise in the past results from whether or not the mind is disciplined. Disciplined mind makes good karma, good results, pleasant places to live, the whole bit. Undisciplined mind makes a chaotic condition to live, horrible things happening to you, all your actions coming back. That's it. It's that simple. So that's simple but hard to do. We have impulses to do the wrong thing a lot. So, I mean a lot. Undisciplined mind gives rise to unwholesome causes. As a result, the mind acting like the root gives rise to wholesome or unwholesome actions, depending on whether it is disciplined or undisciplined. Finally, wholesome actions give rise to good phenomena, and unwholesome actions give rise to evil things. The environment is also affected by your past, the place you're born into. And they have a whole, in the Lamrim we went through, people born in a swamp did certain things, certain immoral acts create certain types of environments. Being stingy creates what? Poverty. You got it. I think you know that. We don't have to go over that. Wholesome actions give rise to good phenomena, wholesome and bad. Okay, generally speaking, what I now mean by the terms good and bad are respectively that which brings about well-being for oneself and others, and that which does not bring well-being either temporarily or ultimately, but rather leads to unhappiness and misery. So that's the criteria of good and bad. Creates pleasant situations, pleasant minds, pleasant environments, or not. Hostile environments, things like that's all. That's the good and bad. Here's an illustration. A false conception of oneself starts with the appearance of oneself as a seemingly independent or self-existent entity. That's me. Yeah. The ego thinks that way. The ego thinks I know everything. I could do this. No one taught me to read or talk. No, shut up. So that's the situation. Later, one actually convinces himself of the reality of this false appearance. Yeah. In dependence upon this false conception of oneself arises attachment or clinging to one's own interest. Mine, this. You forget where you came from, fella or lady. I don't know. One's own interests accompanied by aversion towards other people's interests. Yes, I'm on my own. This is got to watch out for me. Blah blah blah. You know that. We don't think. If as a result, anger or hatred arises, this destroys whatever peace and happiness were previously in the mind. You can answer this yourself. You get angry, you're happy. What was it caused by? Something. Imagine him doing this, envy, whatever, the whole bit. So this anger or the hatred then motivates what follows, perhaps very harsh words towards others, perhaps assaults on others, etc. At the same time, one's facial expression will change, becoming dark or angry. We don't look at this, do we? This will bring about unhappiness in the minds of other people. Thus, specifically, as a result of one's own verbal or facial expression, a certain tenseness in the atmosphere will come about. This is a minor thing. We're not talking about pulling guns and everything else, calling in airstrikes. No, all comes from that same root. How? Yeah. As a result of loss of harmony arising from this tension, hostility and even wars will follow. So there's the root. I remember Rinpoche always used to say, read the paper, you'll see the faults of anger. Watch the news. We don't have to go on. We've had enough of it. At least here, it's nice and quiet. So the First World War, the Second World War, and all other wars arose from the growth of a very vigorous attachment to one side and vigorous hatred towards the other. This is 79, before all the Iraqs, the Gazas, and everything. Perhaps the Swiss people, he's in Switzerland, he's a little plug for the Swiss, are quiet and enjoy great unanimity just because whenever world conflict arises, you abide in the middle. You hide in the mountains. Switzerland is peaceful. I don't know if you've been. I've been there once, so it's nice, isn't it? Everything comes nice and clean, like a big toy store. The train run. It really is. Very clean all over the place. Not that outgoing. Now, to speak of the opposite situation, when one's own mind is peace and cheerful, we should have said peaceful and cheerful, as a result of discipline, Sean Posh, then as a result, one's speech will become very pleasant. You're in a good mood. Hey, Maya, how you doing? Yeah. Right? And gentle, thus causing no harm to him, perhaps even benefiting others, believe it or not. Likewise, one will be cheerful and perhaps in a mood to sing a song. You better be good, though, right, Mark? One's facial expression will be tranquil. He's stoned. We would conclude that here. What's he on? One's own tranquility will have a good influence on others, causing a general atmosphere of calm. I would love to see this happen. No, it will, though. You can, at home, relaxing with friends, etc. It moves nicely. Nice. Musicians get together in a good mood. It's smooth. Every other Saturday at the parsonage, right? An unsolicited comment from Maestro Bucciari. Maestro, every other Saturday at the Tibet Center parsonage in South Orange, this Saturday coming up. You're all welcome. Go to our website for the instructions. At 1 o'clock, we have white Tara Sadhana, and then we adjourn for a substantial refreshment, food and drink. No alcohol, but and we have a good time. Potluck, that's it. Cover dish, potluck, whatever you call it. So we do all right, over all these, how many years we've been doing it? At least 10 in that house alone. So it works. It really does. It gives you a break. It gives you a chance to refuel and exchange ideas on books or whatever. So that's that. Thank you, Mark, for this commercial message from the Tibet Center, Inc. One will be cheerful and the situation will be cheerful. One's own tranquility will have a good influence on others. It follows that we should control our faulty aspects of mind and cultivate wholesome ones. Is it possible to eliminate such unwholesome and faulty qualities completely? And he tells the truth now. It's difficult, but one should try. None of us can be sure that we will be leading a good and wholesome life, but it is for us to hope. Maybe not instantly, but Buddhism thinks in terms of lives after lives. And as Jesse Jamspa will say, why are future lives important? Because they're longer. Oh. So that's where our minds should be. Everything we do for the future, especially if you're old like I am, the future is the whole show. So think about that in your own mind. That's a good point to meditate on when you have time. So we should try. None of us can be sure we will leading a good life and wholesome, but we can hope. In order to cultivate a peaceful mind, here's the text. It is necessary to practice mind training, specifically with a view to helping others to cultivate loving kindness and compassion. Normally, we don't have it emphasized that way, but he does. Others. So, this brings us to what may be called mindfulness of compassion. Now, in order to cultivate these wholesome qualities on the one hand and fully eradicate faulty conceptions or mental distortions, the fundamental method to be applied is cultivating the realization of our common identity. So we direct our minds towards the interpretation of method and interpenetration, rather, of method and wisdom. Method and wisdom, the outer actions, the idea of emptiness, etc. In this practice, the method helps us to grasp wisdom, and the wisdom enables us to grasp method. When you study emptiness and you have a hard time, what do they recommend? Say prayers, wishing prayers, do meritorious acts. The whole being is involved in this, not just as the ego thinks, section, I got a good mind, I can study it. Half hour, I'll understand it. Not really. These things don't unlock their meaning unless you're of a certain state of being, manner of being. Sankapa, what do you do? Thousands of prostrations, and even Sankapa, to finally break through on emptiness. So the whole being is involved. You're smiling, you're being charitable, your lightheartedness and cheerfulness towards others impacts your ability to understand things. So that was told by every Lama will tell you that, including Chungla Rinpoche. And Uncle Nicky will tell you this when he returns. So bear that in mind. I can't understand. Well, I'll do the best I can right now. Let me help this one out. Suddenly, the same page you read a year ago, suddenly, that's what they mean. Stupid. Yeah, we go from the dunce to the wise person. I hope. I'm waiting. This type of unified practice is essential to treading the path of perfection. Unified practice, in other words, empty's not over here, and good works and everything else, prayers are over there. They are united. We are one being. That's it. They always do this in Tantra to show unity. So, but the simultaneous cultivation of wisdom and method would seem to be a special quality of tantric practice. And for this reason, we now come to the next mindfulness relating to a divine body as taught in Tantra. In order to follow this type of practice, it is necessary to follow a teacher. What type of teacher? In the Vinaya, a teacher with a certain type of qualification is described. In Sutra, other qualifications are stated. But finally, what is required in this situation is a teacher with all the qualities mentioned there, together with certain others which are described in the Tantra. They have to have all these things, a necessary teacher for the Vinaya, for Bodhicitta, for Tantra. In accordance with the depth of his or her experience, it is necessary for the disciple to devote himself or herself to a teacher having required qualities. You have to find a good teacher, especially in Tantra, because you're very close, working closely with that teacher. Most of the higher practices of Tantra are one-on-one. There has to be a nonverbal intuition between the two of you, so they say. Very important. So it takes time. It's not an instant plug-and-play deal, you know? So hence, the fourth mindfulness is mindfulness of the teacher. Now, in the text, the first verse relates to mindfulness of the teacher. It reads as follows. On the seat of the immutable union of method and wisdom sits the kind teacher who is the entity of all the refuges. A Buddha has perfect abandonment and wisdom is there. You see your tantric deity, your tantric teacher as a Buddha, no matter what, as a Buddha. You don't have to announce it in the papers, but you see that person that way. Forsaking thoughts and defects, make a petition with pure perception, not letting your mind stray. Place it within within admiration and respect, making your attention unforgetful rather. Maintain it within admiration and respect. This is the thinking process. Listen, you have to go in front of everybody. Oh, my teacher, no. Where's your mind? Locked in with his or her mind. So there are different practices in regard to a teacher, known as the outer, inner, and secret practices. You see how much time we have. We're probably going to go into tomorrow night with this, so if you can't come to the... Never mind, we'll talk later. In order to signify the immutable union between method and wisdom, the unchangeable union between method and wisdom, one visualizes him or her upon the cushions of sun and moon as an object of refuge who has perfect abandonment and wisdom like a Buddha or fully enlightened being. So one should look upon the teacher as free of any defects or faults. That helps you, by the way. Well, the person is, and that's not the point. You looking at that person that way gives you merit. Cultivate admiration and respect for the teacher. Do not allow your mind to stray. That's what they mean by the mindfulness element. So now, when speaking of looking upon the teacher as someone who is completely free of any defects, looking upon him or her as a Buddha, such a practice is primarily related to Tantra and specifically to Anuttara Yoga Tantra, or highest Yoga Tantra, whatever you want to call it. A fully qualified teacher, according to this Tantra, is one who has experience of the four empowerments, and such a being is a Buddha. Boom. Then I'm not going to go into the four empowerments because they're delineated different schools, Vase, wisdom, word, whatever. So a fully qualified experience of four empowerments, such a being as a Buddha. The next verse concerns mindfulness of the awakening of altruistic aspiration towards highest enlightenment. It reads as follows. In the prison of the suffering of limitless cyclic existence, that's us, one of the six types of sentient beings bereft of happiness. Well, me anyway, I don't know about you. Fathers and mothers who protected you with kindness are there. Forsaking desire and hatred, meditate on endearment and compassion. Not letting your mind stray, place it within compassion. Making your attention unforgetful, maintain it within compassion. In the first line, what is meant by this term cyclic existence? What is it? It means samsara, in which one's own mental and physical aggregates are subject to mental distortions inherent in the nature of suffering. What type of suffering? The suffering of misery, or suffering of suffering, we'll call it that. The suffering of change and all pervasive suffering. We won't go into that now. You've heard them before. You could look them up. All sentient beings experience these sufferings, which are limitless. Why? Because as long as the causes for cyclic existence have not been exhausted, it will go on. Again, it's an internal thing. It's not real estate. You go here, you get out of there, you're out of cyclic. No, it's an internal mental thing. So it will go on. All sentient beings experience numberless types of sufferings, limitless degrees, but all these suffering sentient beings desire happiness and don't know how to find it. And as such, they are bereft of happiness. This is the same for all six types of sentient beings. In the desire realm, we have six, hungry ghosts, etc. A little bit more. Can you hang on? You're right? Still there. Okay. Sentient beings who wish for happiness and are bereft of happiness, wishing to be free of suffering, they are still subject to suffering. That's us. Would it be fitting or proper simply to disregard them? I hope they don't disregard me. His Holiness obviously hasn't. He's helping us. It would be utterly improper, because since beginningless time, each of these sentient beings has at one time or another protected us as our father or mother. They have treated us with great kindness, so we can't simply forsake them. but rather one should forsake attachment to oneself and aversion towards others. Do your forsaking there. One must cultivate the attitude of cherishing others more than oneself. In doing this, one must meditate upon the quality of compassion in which one can no longer bear the suffering of others. Those who attended my discourse in Tarpa Ling a few days ago should be familiar with the meaning of looking upon self-cherishing as faulty and have learned how to eradicate it. They should recognize the value of cherishing others and know generally how to cultivate this state of mind and be of service to others. Cherishing others even more cherishes yourself than you could. That's the wise, selfish person. Cherishes others and gets the best result. They should rank the value of cherishing others. The teaching given at that time relates closely to what's being said now. This is the explanation of the second verse. We now go on to the third verse. That will be tomorrow night. Concerning mindfulness towards one's own body as being a divine body. This reads as follows. Yeah, your body is divine. Well, we'll look into it. So for whom will we pray? I know the people who, from the volunteers killed in Gaza, the World Central Kitchen. Thank you, Leslie. It bothered me to no end to see those people being laid out. The stupidity of war. Mark Spiro, Louis Gossett Jr. Did I get those names right? Anybody else? Because I only see 3 or 4. That's it? Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is cord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who rise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the Great Yana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They're an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. May we create the world where these things don't happen. So our next class is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We will continue with this text. And our Saturday, this coming Saturday, as we previously advertised, that little 2-minute film segment we did, we have White Tower practice. You're all are welcome. Just show up. You don't have to bring anything. So thank you very much for your kind, patient listening. Big love to all of you. You got it?